Hi, I'm Scrimshire and I thought I would take you on another little production walkthrough. These walkthroughs I've been doing as a bit of a series and there's a bunch of them now up on my YouTube channel. They're not too technical. The intent is really to just look inside the songs, look at the tracks and the music, what makes it the way it is, maybe some decision making processes, and just have a play around in there and see what's going on. So this time I thought we would do a remix, and it is a track called Colours by The Milk. I vividly remember hearing this for the first time. I run Wild Wild 45's record label that's released this album by The Milk called Cages, the second that we've done together as a team. And yeah, I remember getting the demos through for this and just being completely blown away. The Milk are amazing craftsmen, and just little treats like the incredible middle eight on this, and such a beautiful chorus. So it's a slow soul song, essentially, which made it quite easy to flip from the slow tempo to a much faster tempo at 122 BPM. Sometimes if the tempo is kind of more in the middle, we're already up around that sort of time, then it can feel a little bit too on the kind of nose, really, to just get in there, put a beat on, a bit of dush. So I will then sometimes flip it in a different direction, but this one I knew it was the right thing to do. I just wanted to hear this in a kind of more dance floor approach. One of the first things that I tend to do is strip back all the stems and have a listen to what the people have sent me over to remix. And what I will do first of all quite often is to listen through the lead vocal in particular. And I don't tend to really kind of like sample and chop. I kind of like to almost retain a lot of the structure and the vocals as they are, and kind of reimagine the song as if I was writing it along with, say, Rick, the singer in this particular case. So I'll bring up the vocal. Move away from the noise that's drowning you out. And I will start to just push around on the chords, find the key that we're playing with, and then start trying out different chords. See if it can be pulled in different directions to where they already went before. And if I find a nice feeling, then I'll dive in straight away. With this, my next step was to start building up some percussion. I was going to program a beat as opposed to having a live drums on this. With a lot of my own productions, I tend to end up at live drums. But with a remix like this, I wanted to use some solid electronic sounds, and I wanted to program it. But using percussion, some that I've recorded myself in the studio, like the frog, or any of the other bits I have lying around here. That just helps lend movement and liveness to what I'm doing. So I'll take that. I also had some percussion from The Milk themselves, and that stuff's all in here. Honey, I'll be yours for a day, the great pretender, I'll be yours today. Once I had that, and let's bring in the guys on the backing vocals here, because they're amazing. So once I had that percussion, the next thing for me was to add the beat on. And I could feel this as a kind of Latin influenced rhythm, something pulling from bossa nova, but doing it in an electronic way. So I had that kind of classic sound in there. I did sample one bit of guitar from Dan's guitar stem. There's this really lovely chug here. Just to give it that classic soul sound and still to hang on to that. Let's just pull that percussion back down to where it belongs. And once I have that together, I want to think about building out what's going on harmonically, and that's where the bass comes in. Quite often, with something that's already electronic, I may well go and use the Moog Grandmother over here, for example, or the Juno 6 that I have up on the back. But in this case, my old vintage electric bass. I'm not a proficient bass player, so it is basic, but it does the job, supports the chords, and where we've gone with that. Here's the tinkles. Now that is a replayed riff from the original. You'll hear that in the original song. In fact, do you know what? I'm going to put in the description the original piece of music, and you can go and check that out, just so you've got a comparison to what's happening here. You should definitely check out the original, it's beautiful. There is some Juno on this track here, there's some pads here. And later on I introduced some stabs, I'm not sure they're there yet. Yeah, here we go. And, you know, there needs to be a little bit of dush-dush. So here we go with the big kick. And then a very, very loose live played rim shot sample with no quantizing on it to straighten out the timing. Just to pull at the time a little bit. And just again, bring a little bit of human feeling into an electronic production. After that, there's not a huge amount else to this. I did the original program in Ableton. And once I brought it across into this, which is called Luna, which is where I tend to like to mix records. I just prefer the sound and the software that's in here. Once I brought it across, I realised it needed a little bit more life to it. So in fact, what I did was cut up my original beat programming and just do a little cut and paste to give it a slight movement and broken feel. Also running this through this plugin, which is an emulation of a Moog filter. And you can see here that I just recorded myself playing with some of the controls on this particular thing, just to give it a little bit more movement. And then also in the chorus, playing with Rick's vocals a little bit. I added this pitch. He probably doesn't want me to do that. He's already in falsetto and I've moved that up to a seventh of his original melody. It just brings a little bit more energy and life into this particular version. Beyond that, there's really not much more to this particular mix. It was a lot of fun to do. I remember doing it. I remember it feeling absolutely amazing as it was going along. I hope other people will feel that way about it. It's amazing because the original is just so great. It's from an album called Cages, and actually this is probably the third remix that you'll hear from me that's come from that. I did a track called Feels So Good, and I did a track called The Great Sorrow. And once we'd gone down that route, one evening whilst we were out having a catch up and talking about the project, it was kind of joked about, why don't you remix the whole album? And well, I have. I've remixed the whole album. And it kind of happened in, I think it would have been October 2020. I'd just finished my own album, Believers Volume 1. When you get towards finishing an album, it tends to become very administrative. Thinking about mixes, small tweaks, changing this, changing that. You tend to fall out of a habit of writing music because you're just focused on the technical elements. I do try to keep writing through those processes, but even so, you can't avoid it to some extent. So once I'd finished it in October, I was really craving to get back to writing, just playing again. And so I dug out all the stems for this album I'd sent over, and over about a 2-week period I remixed the entire album. And in, I think, November 2021, we'll share that whole project with you. So this is the first taste of more music from that. I really hope you're going to like it. I'll go through some of the other ones as well over time, because some of them, there's some much more extreme kind of playing with that's taken place. But yeah, in the meantime, again, check out the description. There'll be a link to pre-order or listen to this depending on when you're watching this. And yeah, I really hope you enjoy this remix and the original version. So yeah, I'm Scrimshire. This has been one of my production walkthroughs. Please subscribe to my channel. There's loads of these and there's loads more to come.